Hi, I'm Vince from View Beyond. I'd love to welcome you to this series of interviews with fellow coaches where we talk about what they do, how they do it, why they do it, and the difference they make. I hope you enjoy it. Hi Tess, how are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for doing this, Vince.
Cool.
Great to meet you. I'm doing great.
Great. And we're going to spend probably about 35 minutes talking. And really the purpose is to find out more about you, what you do as a coach, how you coach, and really the difference you make in the world. Because I think every coach I know, that's what we do. We make a difference in the world, and we do it out of a love and a care for people and helping people move forward. I think that's what we're about, all of us.
Right.
So the way my brain works, let me ask the biggest question I can, and then we can delve into there and ask some questions. And you have to excuse me, I do talk with my hands, so you're going to see my hands go all over the place as I'm talking. The way my brain starts, I always start from the outside in, okay? And when I think of coaching, I think of that as not about me as a coach or you as a coach, but about the people we serve, the clients that we help move forward. And so starting from the outside in, let's go to the end of a coaching assignment. When you've finished and somebody moves on into life from working with you, how are they changed? What's happened to them? What have they got? How are they different? How have they become able to move forward?
Well, they're feeling a sense of, I talk with my hands too.
Good.
They're feeling a sense of alignment. They're feeling a sense of congruence. They're feeling a sense of wholeness. That what that means is they're not scattered all over the place. That they can direct their energy
Mm-hmm.
singularly to what it is that they really want to create. So instead of feeling conflicted inside, they're feeling at one with them all, with themselves. They're feeling authentic. They're feeling like they can actually enjoy being in their own body, being there in their own head, being in their beingness, because they're feeling congruent and in integrity with who it is that they truly are.
Yes. Now, a lot of that. I get it. In a somatic training and the background I've got in somatics. Being centered is like the core of the world, right?
Yeah.
So I'm interested. Is that your language for how they feel, or is that language they use with you to describe how they're feeling?
Well, that's the language. It's all of it. I used to be an accountant, and
Wow.
balancing and reconciling and
Mm.
alignment. It makes sense to me that I went into coaching, but in the beginning, it's like from accounting to coaching, like what?
Mm-hmm.
But the accountant in me are the one that put things together so that
Yes.
so that things balance, and that helps my client feel that congruence, feel that oneness,
Yes.
that all parts of them have been accounted for.
Is there I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. I generally find one part of what I do in coaching is weight control with people, is helping people manage their weight and lose weight, but then maintain weight and healthily so they can do it for life. Within everyone I've helped do that, there's a core issue, which once I get there, it's like the linchpin of the problem. You pull it out and everything goes, right? So with weight loss and weight management, it all boils down to a limiting belief that I have to eat and I have to eat regularly. Once I get there, then it's a case of building tools around that, because that isn't true. We don't have to eat and we don't have to eat regularly, those two pieces. So I was wondering, as you talk about balance and you talk about congruence and people accessing each part of themselves, is there a core thing that comes to you that shows up with your clients that you're almost listening for in advance of them speaking with you?
No, I'm not listening in advance. I come really with no agenda when I'm talking to people, because
Mm-hmm.
then um then it flows. It
Yes.
flows. It goes right to the heart of the matter. So I'm listening into what truly matters to them, and what it is really. When people are feeling disconnected, and the reason they're not feeling authentic or not feeling congruent or aligned or centered is
Mhm.
because they feel disconnected. They feel disconnected with themselves, with their partners, with God, higher power, energy, life, however you want to call it, right?
Yes.
But really is the disconnection with the self. And when people feel disconnected with their own essence, with their own beingness, with their own power,
Hmm.
then that's where the conflict starts to happen. They self-doubt gets in, confidence gets compromised in
Hmm.
anything. They're looking very confident on the outside, but all their energy is going towards that false
Yes.
confidence. It's a false bravado. And
Yes.
then now I can let go. But it see how inauthentic that is. So when you're disconnected from that truth, the deeper truth that you already are whole, but then there's a belief that you are not.
Yes.
That's where I go. Where are you feeling that you are separate from your own power? Where are you feeling that you are not worthy to fully express who you are?
And what tell me some of the stories you hear from clients when you ask those sort of questions. Where do they not feel like they're able to be whole?
Well, it's 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 something that they're feeling in the back of their mind, but in their thinking, they are whole. That
Yes.
they are loved, that they are enough. But then there's something unresolved, like it's lingering in the background that kind of determines every action, every
Mhm.
behavior, every motivation that they do. That I have to prove I'm worthy, therefore I'm going to get degrees. I'm
Yes.
worthy, I'm certified, you know. And yet that same person is chasing after the next bright shiny object.
Yes.
I was having a conversation yesterday, and she finished a bachelor's degree, and yet in her own language she says, I am not an expert, so I want you to lead this event because I'm not an expert. Do you see the incongruency there?
Yes. Yes, I do.
She,
Yes.
and yet in another story she says, I couldn't believe I let her treat me that way, because she knew deep down inside that she
Yes.
deserves better. And
Yes.
yet she's chasing after certification, degree, something to validate her own worthiness,
Yes.
because
Yes.
deep inside she's questioning it.
It's fascinating to me. I always say this around actually my consulting as much as my coaching. I consult in the HR arena, human resources, and it's really hard to when people are in denial of having problems, right? They don't see it. To be the honest mirror without being judgmental, without kind of blaming or objectifying their position, but it can be a tightrope to walk across to
Mm-hmm.
get people to see that. So when they think they're whole, and yet everyone else can see that they're not,
Yeah.
but to get them to see it is hard. So is there any, like, I don't know, technique or tactic that you pull off the shelf as kind of that's my favorite go-to thing to get them to at least open themselves to the possibility?
Well, I think it's just listening to them, listening to their stories, and then I would say something like, "Oh, that's interesting. Are you aware that?" And then I would say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, it's just ordinary conversations." And people have stopped me, and these are non-coaching play. These are just, I don't do chit chat.
Yeah.
I know. I never did develop a skill for small talk. So when people do talk to me, it's either I'm so boring and so deep that people like kind of shy away from me. But for those people who are like, tell me more,
Yes.
they would actually literally stop me and say, wow, that just opened my mind right
Yes.
there. Yeah. Could you say that again? I'm like, what did I say? Tell me what I said.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in flow. It happened. Something came out. The it's really interesting. I've seen that myself in coaching. I almost call it the moth to the flame. It's when you're open and you offer, then the people who need will find. It's kind of they come towards it like you almost. I said it to somebody yesterday. It's almost like the rope off the lifeboat. It's kind of they're drowning and you throw the rope, and
Uh-huh.
they see the rope and it's like they'll grab for it.
Right.
Whereas somebody who's swimming doesn't care that the rope's in the water. It's kind of, if anything, it's in the way because they're swimming. They're having a good swim.
Right.
So
And that's why I don't chase clients, because when they're not ready, they're not ready. Whatever information I tell them, they're not ready for it. They have no space for it. Whatever I say, it's not going to work.
yeah, what's the most common resistance you get when given that people are opening, but they will. You see it, people kind of, they open the door and then they slam the door and then they open the
Oh,
door and then they
yeah.
slam it. So
Well,
I'm wondering what the main resistance is they have to engaging with you in a wider conversation.
the resistance with me per se, or resistance with the coaching itself, is really it's nothing conscious that they're doing. It's just their whole system now resisting the change, because
Yes.
holy shit, now I am aware, now I need to step up the game. And
Mm.
then now we're going to unravel more crap, right? Now it's like, oh, it's too hard. It's all the limiting beliefs that they've accumulated over the years. Now we're slowly peeling that away. Now I have to show up. Well, what if I fail? What if I,
Yes. Yes.
right? So you go to the root, and then everything else, because every false foundation has to get deconstructed, and from a place of wholeness and integrity, meaning, are they, finally they're going to discover, oh, you know there's so much more to me. So all these things that I've been doing to please people, to hold a job that sucks the life out of me just so I could survive, well, I don't need
Mm.
all of that.
Yes.
Shit, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So now we are deconstructing all the layers that are really very poor foundation, and that's why there's conflict inside. Now we're going to set up stronger foundation that's aligned, that's in integrity with
Yes.
soul, with what really is. It's a powerful creator that we all are. What is it that we desire to bring and make manifest into the world, and then build a life based on that?
Yes. Yes.
That's congruence, that's alignment, that's reconciliation, that's all your parts coming together to create what it is that you came here to do. So
Yes.
I'm so excited just
Yeah,
talking.
I can see it. It's great. This is why I love having these conversations, because it's just the energy that's resident in helping people flourish, helping people emerge. And when I want to say, it's like a snake, when a snake drops its skin and it emerges for itself, or the caterpillar and the butterfly. But I always think a snake is kind of
Shedding its
amazing. It sheds its skin and it's free, and and it becomes the next version of itself. And so I love that kind of iteration of the snakes.
yeah.
So I'm really interested, and I am just keeping an eye on time, because otherwise I'll talk for hours and we'll go way too long, and I'll keep you from other things. The I'm interested in the ripple effect. So when somebody changes, when they emerge into their potential or their next potential, because these things build on each other, there is a ripple effect potentially on relationships, on friendships, on work. So
Yeah.
I'm interested, to what extent you're working very closely with the individual. How much are you working with them on what's beyond them, so that they can grow even wider or faster?
Well, first of all, with that connection, when that person is changing, I'm also changing.
Mm.
That's the first ripple, right? I'm gaining more confidence. And
Yes.
it's a reflection of what's happening with my client is also happening to me. It's like we're synergistically breaking bounds,
Hmm.
breaking bounds, to infinity. And that person is experiencing that with whomever he or she is interacting with. All of a sudden, people are drawn to that person because he or she is in this whole new dimension, whole new vibration of just being himself, free, authentic,
Yes.
open. And there's an energy that circulates in that person that he is now expanding to other people. And even without him knowing it, people are affected. People are given permission to rise above their
Yes.
circumstances and be who they are. It's
Yes.
like I can't even name, all of a sudden they're one of my clients, he just that the client I just that's why I was late. It was almost gonna be over because when you have realizations
Has a
like
release. Yes.
that, he was buying beer just so people would think of him as worthy. People would think of him as that he can afford, that he's got it all together. Well, the
Wow.
underneath that, that's a very false foundation.
Yes.
So when he realized that, oh, and I challenged him, can you now up your game? Can you now select people into your life that's more in alignment with what you want to create, more in alignment with what you want to experience on a daily basis?
Yes.
You're gonna buy that couple of beer not to impress another person, but just for the heck of having a couple of beer.
Yes, that's right. Yes. Yeah.
So do you see the ripple effect?
I do. Yes. It's very interesting. I was struck by, first of all, there's a side thought which I actually will come back to around drinking and alcohol, but let me just park. I'm just parking that up there on the on the pinboard so I remember it. There's something about when we're out of alignment, when we are part of ourselves and denying part of ourselves or off beam, it makes it easier for toxic people to become involved with us. It's almost like they feed on that toxic area of denial, the area where we've got negative energy, if you want to call it negative energy, that attracts people who feed off it
Oh yeah.
and feed off making it worse. So when I think of ripples, I was thinking in examples of where I've coached. I found that, first of all, some of those people just disappear, just the same as the way some people are drawn towards the new version of the person. Other people just disappear. They just kind of float away.
There's no more energy to be
Yeah,
found, you know.
that's
So
right.
that let's say I am the client, you're no longer feeling my lack. So you're no longer getting recognition from me.
Yes.
You're no longer getting the satisfaction
Yes.
of whatever it is, that negative dynamic between the two of us. So
So it's
if I show
yeah.
up,
Yep.
you either stay in my vicinity because you're showing up with me, we're both raising our vibration, or
Mhm.
you say, well, that's too hard, I'm going to go here, this is more fun, this is more
Yes.
doable. And that's okay. We all have our own journey, we all have our own process and timing of waking up to our truth.
Yes. Yes. It's there's this. I was really interested. I went to your website. As I say, this isn't a kind of structured interview where I've gone and taken copious notes. I really haven't. I read very quickly, and then I really just go with the energy of what I find. This language frame of somatics, of wholeheartedness, of centering, of energy flows. You'll be aware, certainly in it's got better in the last few years in terms of people being accepting of such language frames. But it wasn't so long ago that you and I would both be being described as tree hugging hippie, off with the fairies kind of
Yeah.
people.
You're
So
talking to a former accountant, so
yeah, right.
I wanted like real grounded, practical too.
I
Yeah.
I come from a background of science, so my original training was science, and but I'm an artist as well, so I've luckily got the whole of my artistic persona that keeps me grounded. So I'm interested in. You said earlier on about the when you're speaking with people, you just automatically start with them. It's not a kind of conscious. We're having an intake discussion where we're going to discuss methods and stuff. What's your favorite question to ask people?
What are you ashamed to tell me?
Oh, say more. I like it. I like that a lot.
What are you afraid to share with me? And I remember asking, that's not my favorite, but I can sense energy sometimes to my, when I grew up, I could sense energy that I would make um, a decision about that observation, but I didn't know then that I could sense energy. So
Yes.
it became, I knew when to go on my father's lap that is safe, that I could receive the affection that I wanted as a kid.
Yes.
But none of my siblings could do that. So, so then I became a favorite child because I could do that.
Mm,
I also knew when to shut my mouth and not get in trouble.
yes.
So I could sense energy and work with it. But then that energy too had my world so small because then I was living in safety and security
Yes.
rather than expressing my creativity. So I made a lot of judgments, and that kind of trapped me. And that's, I don't know if this is related to your question, but that was the open heart, open mind, because I built a prison for myself.
Yes. Yes.
And now bring me back to the question because I kind of
Well,
forgot.
but you are speaking about the question because it's what are you most afraid of, right? So
Yes.
what are you most afraid of? It was kind of your favorite entry into the discussion, and that's what you're describing.
Yes. What are you most afraid of is losing that very foundation that I built so hard for myself to keep me safe. And now you're telling me to
Yes.
let go of all that. Now you're telling me to be vulnerable and open-hearted and open-minded.
Yes.
Are you
Yeah.
freaking out of your mind?
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, I had to.
Yes. And it's really interesting to me that there is a piece of this. I think most coaches I know, certainly in strategic intervention coaching, most coaches I know are taking, I was that person. I'm now no longer that person because I did the work to not be that person. Now I want to help. I want to
Yeah.
go back. It's almost like the time machine. I want to go back in time and help anyone who was me get out of it and get to a better place.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm hearing, and it's fascinating to me. How much do you use visualization with people? Because part of the reason I asked the question is what you just described is somebody in a prison. They're literally they've got bars around them, and you're saying I'm going to remove the prison, but
Mhm.
look at the green fields beyond here. Look at the horizon. Look at the sea. Look at the mountains. Come on, we're going here.
Yeah.
And they're saying, but don't take my prison away. It's like,
Right. So you don't start there. You start with, what do you really want?
yeah. So how much? So how do you get people to play in their vision if they're only seeing the prison?
Usually that comes in the discovery session, because if they can't see what they want, I again, they're just going to object to the process itself.
Mm-hmm.
If the, and a lot of people, myself included, I didn't know what I wanted because I lived for my children. I lived for someone else. And that vision, I'm more of a kind of a day to day, like I'll make a decision when it's right in front of me. And then, and you know what? It's actually in every assessment that I've taken.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to judge myself. Well, why is it that I don't know what I want? What's wrong with me?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, but when I understood that energy, oh, okay. But
Yes.
then it comes to the knowingness too. When I knew who I was, then I didn't need to know what I want because I just am. I am. And
Yes.
I get to create on the flow on a moment to moment basis or when I decide. So there's a huge difference because the wanting is coming from lack. I want this because I don't have it. But when you come from an I am, I am.
Yes. It's tangibly different, right? It's
It's
viscerally, it
yeah.
feels completely different to
It's
me.
yeah. You have to go with the energy of it. It's like so. It's yes, it's a visualization, but it's more a visceral experience. An experience I have my client feel in their own body. They have an experience of it. So yes, I do. I wouldn't say hypnosis, meditation, blah blah blah. It's just again, I'm coming with a clear agenda, no agenda at all,
Hmm.
and then it develops as I'm talking. Like this interview, it's just evolving as um we're talking.
Yes. It's lovely to be in a moment, right? It's
Yeah.
just that's, so funny. I was talking yesterday about this. This goes back, actually, I can take it out the pin board now. I knew it would come back if I put it up there. Um, from personal experience, my own life with food and alcohol, um, a lot of when we aren't centered, when we aren't in balance, the pieces that we're neglecting I believe in myself certainly, but I've seen it with my clients. They get placed into objects, either behaviors and habits such as drinking, such as smoking, such as eating, or objects in terms of buying things or pursuing degrees. You mentioned earlier on as one, pursuit of certificates is one thing. If I have that, I will be.
Yeah.
And with drinking and with food, there's a certain amount of anesthetizing emotion. There's kind of, I'm feeling the lack, so let me damp that down so I don't have to feel that anymore. That's a real thing. I was interested, based on that, where do people hide most? So if you think about, they're hiding this place. So what are you most afraid of revealing? Where do the most of your clients, when you do get them, what are they using to hide or to avoid the reality of what they're doing to themselves?
Work. They're workaholics
Interesting.
because they're working so hard, one, to avoid the tension going on in the home, or
Mm-hmm.
to avoid the tension going on inside, or the tension going on between me and my God.
Yes.
Why did you abandon me? Why are you still punishing me? So in order to avoid those tension, those oh, you know, the demons inside,
Mm.
you go to a drink, you go to work, um, you make your life look perfect, that
Yes.
you've got it all put together, because deep inside it's crumbling. It's like you got nowhere to go, and the outside appearance is your foundation, but then again, if your power is sourced from the outside, it's a very shaky foundation.
Yes. Yes. And this is something that's been on my mind a lot,
Hmm.
because I've lost a lot of weight recently, and part of me coaching people to lose weight is I lose weight myself. The extent to which the societal pressures from
Right.
marketing, from the perfection myth,
Hmm.
this be perfect or give the illusion of being perfect and don't let any weakness show,
Right.
particularly in America, in American psyche, is very, very big. In It's almost like a gravitational force. It's almost like being next to a planet where you've got this piece of yourself that's not whole, that is suffering, and this planet is pulling at it to say, like, you can't address it because you're in my gravitational pull of this is what you're meant to be.
Hmm.
You're meant to be the executive who works until 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and handles emails at home and on the weekends. You're meant to be the mum who can do everything and can get the kids to school with perfect lunches with a bow on. And at the same time run your own business, and by the way, look after your husband, and by the So all of that pressure is like a gravitational force that I'm just interested. How do you carve the space in, whether it's in your sessions or in your approach with your clients? How do you carve the space that gravity stops pulling for a little while, so that your clients can step
Mhm.
into the new space?
Well, you were just describing me, actually. All that was me. And it took a cosmic 2x4 for me to wake up.
What was it?
I Well, there was a year that I lost my rental property to arson, and then I lost my boss, who was my confidant, the only person who gave me significance, because I was a single mom at that time.
Oh, wow.
Well, I was getting significance and love and connection from the kids, but talking adult to adult,
Yes, it's different.
it's so different, and giving you validation, blah, blah, blah. So I lost him, and then there was another. Oh yeah, um, because he passed away, then I took on more responsibilities that weren't even mine, right?
Mm.
I'm the superwoman, and I didn't even process the grief of that. And I was working another job, and I had rental business, and I was raising my family, and da 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 da. I hurt myself skiing downhill,
Mm-hmm.
ACL tear, and I'm like, okay, now shit, what can I do? So the gravitational pull, really, your own universe, because really there's always a positive intent for us to grow and self-realize and
Yes.
self-actualize. That's really the truth of who we are. We can't stay stagnant. There's a force within us that's gonna, and if you don't listen to that force, and if you keep pushing it down, no, I want to stay here, I want to be comfortable, this familiar, this, I already know this role, this is my persona, damn it, don't change it. But no, there's something inside of all of us that's gonna want to crush all that false belief, all that false foundation, all that false persona. It's all gonna come crumbling down. And that's a force to be reckoned with. And that's a force that's already inside of us. But if you are as stubborn as I was, it'll take cosmic 2x4s, one after another, to wake you up and say, hey, I am not fucking kidding with you. I'm sorry. You can edit that out.
No, you can say that. It's fine.
Because this is authenticity.
Yes.
My own family says don't swear. It's bad. Like, it's not bad. It's being who I am.
It's a word, right?
Yeah. So your own universe, your own higher power is saying, wake the fuck up. I am not kidding with you. Pay attention. And that was really my own message to myself. And that's the birth of open heart, open mind.
Yes, it's really interesting to me. The cosmic 2x4s.
Oh my God, yeah.
So as I'm non-denominational. I'm an atheist. I'm just a believer in the human spirit, right? That's my position. But that innate humanity of struggle and growth, we're all doing it. And I love that idea that somebody's tapping on you in your subconscious, because I felt that, the tap on the subconscious of wake up, wake up, wake up, you're missing this. And what was interesting, and I share this so that if you share this elsewhere, then others can hear it as well. The best thing I ever did for myself was to look at my life map, my progress of when I hit decision points, and when were the decisions. And what I found when I looked was, it was every 7 years, the same decision happened.
Yeah.
And it was only when I hit 27, 28, that sort of age, that I listened and I heard it and I did something. But then it caught me by surprise again. But it caught me by surprise again after 5 years. And I dealt with that one and made some changes, which included moving to the US. Then 3 years later, it hit me. Then 2 years later, it hit me. And 1 year later, right? So once I started listening, it kept coming back. And whether it was my subconscious, whether it's a higher power, whatever it is, it was wake up. It doesn't really matter what it is. the point was that eventually it was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
This is who you're
I'm not
meant to be.
supposed to settle. I'm not supposed to be hiding. I'm not supposed to
Yeah.
be this mediocre version of who I think I am.
Yeah.
Who we
But,
are, each of
yeah,
us.
for me that was the corporate life. It was
Wow.
the corporate life was that life. So it's great. Listen, I said I'd watch the clock. Oh, we got talking. We just went over time. But it doesn't matter because we've got the magic of the edit button, but also it's great to have a long conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap up in a second, but let me ask, I always, I could keep talking for hours, but
Oh, yeah. I love talking to you too.
I have two questions that I always ask everyone I've ever interviewed for, whether for jobs or for clients, etc. So the first is, what was there anything you heard yourself say during this session, or any connection you made that you hadn't heard yourself make before, or a way you'd put something together, or anything there? Was there anything that jumped out at you as kind of, oh, wow, that's interesting?
No, but I'm watching the jumping of energy, and usually my old story is I don't know what to say.
Hmm.
I can't. Well, I think I even told you that in your invitation. Well, I'm having a problem articulating. But even when I'm realizing, even though my English is not perfect, you can ding me on grammatical errors, whatever. And you know what? Do I look like I care? It's not, because the energy of it is so flowing, and it's so vibrant, and I'm really enjoying it. And the proof is we went over time.
Yeah, that's it. There was never any point when we're going,
Yeah. So
right.
it's so much fun. I'm having
Cool. So is there anything we haven't covered that you wanted to share, or anything that I've not noticed or not picked up on that you wanted to talk about?
No, really, that we all have unique process. Each of one of us coaches, and usually we're drawing from personal experience from that pain, and then and that even though we tend to blame our past, really it's a foundation to preparing us to this very moment that we can serve with our whole heart, with all of our mind, with all of our being.
Yeah.
And this again brings us back to that wholeness package. What I want to say is, even though we messed up our life, or we've made, like, you realize, okay, that was not who I am, right? And now I have to be this person. No, you're still all of that, and this person, you're all of it. What's happening is you're transcending, and then you're coming back to embrace all of that, because that's still your unique expression. I'm still as feisty as ever and stubborn, but now I'm using those qualities on a more directed, aware, conscious beingness.
Love it. Thank you. That
No
was
parts
beautiful.
left behind. That's usually what I say. No parts left behind. We're not making wrong any piece, any part, any dimension. It's all part of the big picture.
Yes.
It's a package deal.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. So with that, I'll say thank you. But don't hang up, because I do want to talk about some logistics and stuff. But thank you so much. That was wonderful, and I hope you enjoyed it.
I did.
Great. Okay.